Well, 3 European trophies in a decade. 2 more hurdles. Maurizio Sarri's number 1 objective might be to earn a place in the top 4 of the Premier League, but having already earned a place in the top 4 of the Europa League, that Champions League lifeline is within touching distance. Their opponents are fighting on the same 2 fronts. 4th in the Bundesliga, 3-point advantage over the chasing pack. But Eintracht are basking in the glory of the European adventure in waters that are uncharted for more than a generation. They did win the UEFA Cup back in 1980, but this is their first European campaign for 5 years, let alone their most successful one for decades. They made it back into Europe by winning the German Cup. A 3-1 triumph over Bayern in last season's final, the final game before coach Niko Kovacs upped and left for Bavaria. And having reached the final the previous season as well, they've shown a pedigree in cup competitions which has served them well on the continent over the last few months. Having won every game in the group stage, they've seen off Shakhtar, Inter Milan and Benfica to get this far, with a quarter-final victory coming after being 4-1 down with 10 men at one stage in the first leg. Underestimate them at your peril. And nevertheless, Maurizio Sarri has rotated again, a policy which has brought success in the Europa League so far, but which has been undertaken tonight with more than one eye on Sunday's match with Watford. Eden Hazard left on the bench, Giroud, the competition's leading scorer, back in place of Higuain. Chelsea lining up with Aretha Balaga in goal, Azpilicueta and Emerson are the fullbacks, Christensen and David Luiz the centre-half partnership. Christensen started every game in this competition so far this season. The midfield 3, Kante, Jorginho and Loftus-Cheek. And in the absence of Hazard and the injured Hudson-Odoi, it's Willian, Giroud and Pedro, the forward line. Zappacosta, Alonso, Kovacic, Barkley, Hazard, Higuain and Caballero on the bench for Chelsea tonight. Eintracht have Kevin Trapp in goal, Abraham, Hinteregger and Follett, the likely 3 centre-halves, Da Costa and Kostic at wing-back. Kasebi, the Japanese international veteran, will anchor the midfield. Fernandes and Broda ahead of him, Gacinovic in support of Jovic up front. And on the bench, Ndicka, the former Swansea man de Guzman, Willems, Toro, Chandler, Paciencia and Frederick Runau, the substitute goalkeeper, the Danish international. It is the first ever match between these 2 teams. The second one next week. Most important thing, as far as Chelsea are concerned, Sam, is that they're just in a position to be able to complete the job next Thursday. They don't have to get it won here and now. What's a pass score for Chelsea, do you think?
Well, I think they take the draw, certainly, but to get an away goal would be magnificent. And we obviously know how Chelsea set up by now under Maurizio Sarri. Going to be interested to see what the home side do. 4 centre-halves in there for them, so we're expecting Hasebi to play as a holder and just the one out-and-out forward. So maybe you could take that as they're maybe going to congest the middle area and get after Jorginho. We've seen teams get success, certainly the early part of the season. That could be a tactic for Eintracht Frankfurt this evening.
Well, it's Chelsea that will get the game underway in all yellow. Eintracht in all black with white trim. And we are underway. The first leg of the Europa League semi-final. Chelsea kicking from left to right as we look at it. The long ball launched forward and headed away straight away back towards halfway. And David Luiz will be able to pick it up for Chelsea and swing another long right-footed ball forward, which is straight down the throat of the German international goalkeeper Kevin Trapp. We'll keep you up to date with everything that's going on at the Emirates tonight. Arsenal in action against Valencia in a repeat of the 1980 European Cup Winners' Cup final. Ian Abraham's there for us, and he will keep us informed with everything of consequence that happens in that game, the second leg of which is live here on TalkSport 2 next week. Eintracht work a long ball forward out towards the left-hand touchline for Kostic. Both of the fullbacks under Adi Hutter do tend to play in far advanced positions. Certainly expect that their starting position will be in advance of the defensive-minded midfielder, let alone the back line tonight. There's no way that they will be playing with a back 3 that in reality is a back 5. It's just not in Eintracht's makeup. Chelsea have possession. David Luiz chipping the ball forward, and N'Golo Kanté able to take the ball on the turn and work it down to the Chelsea right for Pedro. First opportunity for him to run at the Eintracht back line. Azpilicueta is the man supplying the width outside him, and his ball in hits Kostic and goes out of play for Chelsea's first corner of the night.
Yeah, good start. Azpilicueta making an overlap down the right-hand side, and it's Kostic, the left wing-back, who gets back into a good defensive position, covering that left-sided centre-half Fillet, conceding the first corner.
It's a corner this works short. Willian drives it in, and it goes out of play via a deflection for another throw. So it'll be taken about 15 yards away from the corner flag. Talk about the amount of work that so many of the Chelsea players have got through this season. This is the 59th game of the campaign. Willian has played more than anybody else. It's game number 53 for him. Here's Conte now, left-footed scuffed effort, drilled wide of the near post. Now to play for a goal kick, which will be taken by Kevin Trapp. 2.5 minutes gone. It's Eintracht Frankfurt 0, Chelsea 0 on TalkSport 2.
Promising start, really didn't switch on at all from the set piece there, Frankfurt, and Willian and Pedro able to exchange passes, and Willian would be disappointed with his final product into the box, hitting the first man, and an early strike from Conte just sailing wide of the near post.
Long goal kick is headed on by the blonde-haired midfielder Roda. He can't guide it into the path of Luka Jovic, who's been making the headlines this season. 25 goals in his 42 games, including 8 in Europe. He netted 5 in one game at home to Fortuna Dusseldorf earlier this season, which is extraordinary feat for any striker, let alone one who's only 21. Serbian international linked with a move away over the summer, leading the line tonight. And what is often a forward three with him and Rebic and Haller. He's the only one of the three that's made the cut tonight, with Rebic suspended and Haller out with a stomach problem. Here's Pedro, right-footed ball swung inside the penalty area again, easily claimed by Kevin Trapp. He had Giroud to aim for, who just turns and looks at the Spaniard and tells him that he would rather the ball had been played into feet there, but he did go for the aerial option, and Trapp was able to come out and claim it pretty comfortably. Their form hasn't been great, Eintracht. They've only won one of the last 5 games, which was the 2-0 success at home to Benfica in the second leg of the quarter-final. They lost the first leg 4-2, went through on away goals with the 2-0 victory, with goals from Kostic and Roda getting them over the line on that occasion. But they have been hard to beat. Only 2 of the last 19 games have ended in Eintracht being outscored. Fillet lays it back for his goalkeeper. Trapp will drive it forward. Fillet playing on the left of the 3 centre-halves, and it is very much a stretched of 3 centre-halves, with the wider centre-halves almost playing in orthodox full-back position. That's how wide they are.
They are. It's a really interesting setup. They really do split, and Sabi's actually dropping in to kind of make another centre-half, so kind of like a back 4 when Trapp can get the ball out and they can build from the back. But the setup, as we expected, it's just going to be Jovic up there by himself, supported by Gacinovic. So yeah, diminished options, I would say, for their coach going into this game. But the setup's got them success. Some fantastic results here, normally playing with a holding midfield player, and like I said, that middle area is going to be congested, and that should mean that Jorginho won't be able to conduct the play like he likes to do.
5 minutes in, and still chanceless, still goalless as well at the Emirates between Arsenal and Valencia. Will be there very shortly as the ball is thrown forward, controlled onto the 5 Olivier Giroud. One back, and then Hasebe will take a free kick quickly for Eintracht, which he works back for Martin Hinteregger, the centre-half, the Austrian international, who they only signed in the January transfer window on loan from Augsburg, but he's been a major success. It's a move that they want to make permanent. Now it's played by Abraham, back to his goalkeeper Trapp. Very good goalkeeper with the ball at his feet, works it forward towards Fillet. Roda able to control it. Under pressure from N'Golo Kanté, he can just exchange passes with Hasebe, who again just drops in deep to split centre-halves. As the ball is played back towards Roda, he is fouled. It's a free kick which will be given away by Jorginho. Let's find out what's been going on in the early stages at the Emirates. Arsenal-Valencia, here's Ian Abrahams.
4 minutes gone, Arsenal 0, Valencia 0. Arsenal with a shout for a penalty inside 90 seconds. Lacazette going over for me just a little bit too easily. None of the goalkeepers had a save to make yet, Jim. Arsenal 0, Valencia 0.
Thank you. 0-0 with 6 minutes gone in the game we're concentrating on tonight. Eintracht against Chelsea on TalkSport 2 with Olivier Giroud in possession, trying to get away from Gelson Fernandes. The former Manchester City man is in strongly, a little bit too strongly really for Chelsea's liking, but play will go on. Conte tries to stop the progress of Hasebe through the midfield. Left-footed ball swung in by Follett, coming around the back. It's kept alive by Da Costa. All he could do in the end really was prevent it going out of play for a goal kick. Made an awful lot of ground there, got the top of his right boot to it, but ultimately will be a throw to Chelsea. 7 minutes in and still 0-0, Sam.
Fantastic delivery. Follett just a tad too strong. Da Costa couldn't keep it alive on the byline. Chelsea wanted the free kick for the crunching challenge Fernandes on Willian, but seemed to get a portion of the ball. And that's probably their best attack to this stage. 7 minutes, and Chelsea probably started the better.
Kostic again on the left-hand side. The Serbian international playing it in towards the feet on the edge of the penalty area. Jovic tried to twist and turn. He's got Kostic as a passing option on his left. A high aerial ball in from him. Nobody had picked up Da Costa, but he just seemed to take his eye off it, or lost it in the flight as it came inside the penalty area towards his head. Ultimately, Chelsea will win a free kick for foul on Emerson in the left-back position by Gelson Fernandes, but that was a strange one really with Da Costa. Had the opportunity to lay the ball back to the options in the middle, and if anything just turned away from it, and it hit him on the shoulder and the chance had gone.
Yeah, possibly just a fraction too high, but the first involvement of the centre forward Jovic, you can see the confidence that he's playing with, receives it back to goal, trying to wriggle and get his shot away, and in the end his awareness is fantastic to just thread it out to the left back who delivered well to the far post. It's a little bit heavy.
Loftus-Cheek has done well. He's ridden 3 challenges and maintained possession around the edge of the penalty area. Now it's played back into the centre for Christensen. Azpilicueta, boos and whistles from the Eintracht supporters with Chelsea in possession. Pedro, a couple of yards in from the right-hand touchline, goes behind square for N'Golo Kanté. Pedro again, back for Conte, into the feet of Giroud. Giroud plays it away from Hinteregger. Emerson making his way forward in support. He's got Willian outside him, and he will come in off the left-hand touchline now, running at Da Costa, just forced away. Jorginho chipping it back over the top, easily headed away. Jorginho, the second time of asking, finds Emerson. Time for him to deliver a decent ball, but Abraham was there, and he could easily sweep it clear. Only as far as David Luiz. Decent, sustained spell of possession and pressure here for Chelsea, as Loftus-Cheek tries to make his way forward, but Da Costa and Abraham between them have won it back. And Emerson in sticking his toe in to try and win possession back once more for Chelsea, just puts it out of play for a goal kick. 9 gone, 0-0.
A pretty good spell, just unfortunate that Loftus-Cheek turned a little bit down the blind alley, and I think he recognised he had nowhere to go. Felt a little bit of contact from Da Costa, but waved away by the referee, and they're going to be, hard to break down. Getting back into, it's almost a 5-4-1, isn't it, when they nice and compact defensively, just leaving Jovic up the pitch, and Chelsea with that lack of pace, it is going to be about trying to prise them open with that nice little patterns and interchange that they are capable of, especially when Giroud's in the team, because he's a great wall for the players to bounce passes off. But on that occasion, Frankfurt standing strong.
Well, he's had his success in this competition this season, Olivier Giroud. 10 goals in the Europa League compared to just 2 in the Premier League. And that means that the 2 top scorers in this competition this season, both on the pitch tonight. Giroud with his 10 and Jovic with 8. And also the leading assist maker in the Europa League is as well with Willian. Giroud just possibly went the wrong way with Pedro in decent space on the right-hand side for Chelsea. And by the time it was worked back towards the Spaniard by Loftus-Cheek, there was too much on the pass, but the momentum had gone. Jorginho just making that very point now to Olivier Giroud. But when they are being able to break forward, they can run at this black wall of Eintracht Frankfurt defenders and certainly make good progress. Promising signs as far as Chelsea are concerned inside the opening 11 minutes.
Well, that was perfect from a Chelsea perspective. Ruben Loftus-Cheek up against Hasebe, the holding midfield player, obviously getting on in his career. Burst past him, no problem at all. Olivier Giroud just turned the wrong way. He didn't see the pass for Pedro, who would have been potentially in on goal. He checked out and gave it back to Loftus-Cheek, and with that, the momentum of the attack had gone.
Hasebe able to bring the ball forward here towards the edge of the penalty area. Gacinovic can't hold it up, but Da Costa will recycle it. Back from him to Fernandes. Fernandes now to Hinteregger. Clever drop of the shoulder. Too good for Olivier Giroud. He just changed the angle and the line of attack and worked it out towards the right-hand side for David Abraham, the Argentinian centre-half, who is in his 4th season with Eintracht. More than 100 games for the club behind him. Back from him to Kevin Trapp, goalkeeper on loan from PSG. Back his homeland having been relegated to number 3 at PSG with the arrival, should I say, of Gigi Buffon last summer. Trapp driving it forward, down towards the left-hand side. Azpilicueta going up for it, it's off him, and out for a throw, which Kostic wants to take quickly. He's waiting for the support to arrive, into the feet of Jovic, but it'll be easily cleared by N'Golo Kanté. Gets it away from Sebastian Rode. Giroud's touch evades Willian, and Abraham can bring it forward. And in this system, the centre-halves do get licence to come forward. Da Costa, played onside by David Luiz. Kostic with a left-footed effort, which he completely miskicked. It was almost an air shot at the far post. And Chelsea again are able to bring it away, firstly with Azpilicueta and then with Pedro. But the Guinean international Fallet can run round the ball and win it back. And then Hasebe with a quick ball forward. But that's evaded Da Costa and goes through to goalkeeper Kepa Arrizabalaga. Still waiting for the deadlock to be broken, but it has been broken at the Emirates. Here's TalkSport 2's Ian Abrahams.
Yeah, good evening, Jim. It's Arsenal 0, Valencia 1. I said earlier on TalkSport 2, more chance of me having a diet than Arsenal being tight at the back. A corner to the far post, headed back, and Diakabi amongst 3 Arsenal defenders has beaten a lot to head it in from close range. Terrible defending. Arsenal 0, Valencia 1.
Arsenal already up against it with the away goal scored by the Spaniards. Certainly, you'd look at the way that the Champions League picture is developing in the Premier League. The chance of both Arsenal and Chelsea finishing in 3rd and 4th spot looks extremely remote at the moment. So the lifeline that this competition will bring will be crucial for one of them, you would think. Arsenal with work to do already. A goal down at home with Diakabi's goal. Frankfurt 0, Chelsea 0 with 14 minutes gone. The game that we're concentrating on tonight at the Commerzbank Arena in Frankfurt. Don't forget, Sports Day back tomorrow morning from 6. You can join Paul Coy and Joe Shannon for your fix of the latest sports news. They've got sports headlines every 15 minutes, the transfer centre every half an hour. That's Sports Day tomorrow from 6 a.m. here on TalkSport 2. Well, they will be reacting to the games tonight. Will they be reacting to Chelsea's success or relative Chelsea failure? So far, the omens are good, because Chelsea have had the majority of possession. Eintracht haven't had a chance worthy of the name, and Chelsea the better team through 14 minutes.
Yeah, I think the threat's going to come from the wide players for them. With turnover.
Kanté dispossessing Hasebe just outside the penalty area. Loftus-Cheek couldn't make the most of the chance. He tried to roll a straight ball forward towards Giroud, and it was easily cleared. Yeah,
the positivity of the 2 wide players, I think already. One of them getting around the far post, and obviously the delivery a few times from Kostic and Da Costa has caused Chelsea 1 or 2 problems, but not a great deal of mobility I'm seeing in the Frankfurt midfield. Some aging legs in there, and if Loftus-Cheek can get on the ball when it opens up, I think that's going to be an avenue for Chelsea to cause problems.
Giroud victim of a strong challenge from Hinteregger as he tried to lay the ball back to Conte, and he asked the question of the Spanish referee. No answer was forthcoming. It's a throw to Chelsea rather than the free kick that Giroud thought he'd earned just outside the penalty area. Azpilicueta back towards Pedro. Pedro will turn it inside his own half to Emerson. Both Marcus Alonso tonight at left back. It was Marcus Alonso that scored the winner in Chelsea's last game on continental soil, the victory at Slavia Prague. Now Loftus-Cheek's been caught in possession, and here's Da Costa herring forward. He's got Jovic in the middle if he can pick him out. David Luiz stopped the cross, being an effective one. Comes back for Kostic. Left-footed effort from him. Hits Conte and doesn't make the penalty area. Pedro first to the second ball. Hinteregger then shoves Giroud to the ground. And this time the referee does agree with the Frenchman that it should be a Chelsea free kick. 3 or 4 times Hinteregger has been nibbling away at Olivier Giroud. He's a very tall, strong, round-shouldered centre-half, Martin Hinteregger. Giroud's going to know that he's been in the battle tonight.
Yeah, they've been able to get good ball into Olivier Giroud in these opening 16 minutes. His touch has just evaded him on a couple of occasions and allowed Eintracht Frankfurt to get back on the ball. And that was a sloppy from Loftus-Cheek. He wasn't aware what was around him, and the Costa travelled pretty much the length of the pitch, but just lacked that real guile, didn't he, when he got into the 18-yard box to pick out the right pass, and Chelsea able to recover. But pretty end-to-end stuff. It's been decent fare so far.
This time it's Emerson that's lost possession. The Costas had an excellent start of the game. Kostic, the other wing-back, finds himself in the centre of midfield in getting possession back for Eintracht. Now Follett, nice crossfield ball from him. Da Costa trying to poke it on first time towards Kacinovic, who'd made the run. The appeal was for a handball against Emerson. The referee again unmoved, but Eintracht get possession back with Roda to Gelson Fernandez. Now David Abraham bringing it within 15 yards of the edge of the penalty area. Back for Hinteregger, now to Follett. Follett's ball forward. Nice turn by Kostic, who's caught the eye in the early stages. His ball in, just took a deflection on its way through. It's a crucial one. Kacinovic lays it wide, and the right-footed ball in from Da Costa, just too far ahead of Jovic. With the reef of the Liga, very grateful to be able to pounce on it. But that, Eintracht's best move of the game.
Lovely football, intricate passing down on this left-hand side. They shift it all the way across the pitch, and once more, I think Da Costa in a fantastic position. Not any pressure on him at all. Emerson's probably 7 or 8 yards from the right wing back, and all he can do is deliver into the arms of Kepa. It's another good chance, and his approach play has been fantastic, but I find a little bit of quality missing from his game at the moment.
A little bit of a slow burner, 18 minutes gone. It has been more open than it might be, but neither side's been able to muster a shot on target so far. It's Europa League semi-final first leg on TalkSport 2. Sam Parkin alongside me, Jim Bradford, talking you through the action. Don't forget, coming up, TalkSport 2 on Saturday, it's West Ham against Southampton. And on Sunday here on 2, Derby against West Brom, a game of crucial importance for that playoff position. Over on TalkSport, Cardiff against Crystal Palace in the Premier League on Saturday tea time. That could see Cardiff go down. And then on Monday, depending on what happens, conceivably, Manchester City might win the title Monday night. They're at home to Leicester. And we've got that one covered for you as well, live and exclusive for national radio. First yellow card of the night has been shown to Christensen. It was a lunging challenge as the midfielder Roda made his way down the left-hand touchline. It was a poor challenge from Christensen. He finds himself on a yellow card very early in the game. He knew as soon as he made the challenge that the caution was going to come his way. Put both hands up by way of apology, but it didn't get him out of the book, the first caution of the night.
Terrible challenge, and more than that, just a really odd decision, because I think if you wanted any Frankfurt player to be breaking it, probably would be Roda. He hasn't got the pace, the power in his running, and Christensen should have just shepherded in towards the corner and would have been favourite, I would suggest. So incredible really that he went to ground. It was a really poor challenge, and referee brandishing the yellow card straight away.
Only his second yellow card of the season, but we talked about the problems that Chelsea have if they get injuries as centre-half tonight, that Azpilicueta would have to move in and play in that position. Of course, they only got a centre-half on a yellow card. If they had a player sent off tonight, either Christensen or David Luiz, those same problems would apply. 20 minutes gone, Eintracht Frankfurt 0, Chelsea 0. News of another goal at Arsenal very shortly. It's an equaliser from Alex Lacazette, but firstly, this free kick which Kostic will take. It's going to be a left-footed ball swung inside the penalty area. It's an away swinger, headed on, taking a couple of touches, and Abraham, who was in space at the far post, just leant back and fires his effort over the bar. He should have done better. 0-0 in this one. Let's get news of that Arsenal equaliser from Ian Abrahams.
Goal on 18 minutes, Arsenal 1, Valencia 1 against the run of play, it has to be said, but Aubameyang inside the penalty area up against the goalkeeper, just managed to poke it to Alexander Lacazette, who 12 yards out had pretty much an empty net to put it into. Arsenal have been awful, absolutely awful, Jim, in his first 20 minutes, but somehow they're level. Arsenal 1, Valencia 1.
1-1 in that one. It could have been 1-0 to Eintracht Frankfurt in this one. Chelsea have conceded a higher number of their goals from set pieces than any other side in the Premier League so far this season. I think I'm right in saying it's 15 goals that they've conceded, which is slightly over a third of the goals that they've conceded all told. So many times they get undone with a player coming in at the back post. And it was the same old story there, son.
It was, same as the Burnley goal, well, the two Burnley goals, I think, as well, and Slavia Prague scored from one, profited from one, and they get the first touch, Frankfurt, but you have to be alive around the far post. It's Loftus-Cheek and Emerson, the two nearest players, but don't react, unaware that Abraham's tiptoed around the back post, and it was actually not a bad attempt, just tried to steer it back where it had come from, but got too much elevation on it. But they're not learning, it's a zonal system, and it's been their Achilles heel on more than one occasion.
It was perhaps the finish of a man who's only scored once in 121 games for Eintracht Frankfurt. If anybody's going to tiptoe in at the far post, they probably want it to be David Abraham. Almost midway through the first half, 1-1 at Arsenal, 0-0 between Eintracht Frankfurt and Chelsea. Chelsea have won 14 of their last 15 matches in the Europa League, the one exception being the draw at Vidi in Hungary in this season's competition. Of course, they won the competition the only previous occasion that they played in it, and they parachuted in from the Champions League back in 2013 as Champions League holders. They didn't get out of the group but won the Europa League. This is Eintracht's best spell of pressure of the game so far. Kostic making his way forward. It's a diving header, he's in! Brilliantly taken goal. Kostic with the delivery, and inevitably it's Jovic with the finish. Goal number 26 of the season. Brilliantly instinctive play. He was almost down on his knees, and he just swiveled and turned his head to it. Little kind kiss off the inside of the post, and Eintracht Frankfurt lead Chelsea by a goal to 0.
Well, Jim, that's a half chance at best, and he's involved in the build-up, and he's not had a lot of ball to this point, but everything he's done has been absolutely immaculate. It's a centre-forward playing with such confidence, outside of the right foot, out to Kostic. He just makes his way towards the 18-yard box, and yes, David Luiz is a little bit off him, but it's an absolutely superb header. He knows exactly where he is, and he just guides it right into the far corner. I don't think you can question the goalkeeper. It's just a brilliant centre-forward's goal from a player clearly banging confidence.
Brilliantly taken header from Luka Jovic. It's easy to see on the strength of the first quarter of this match why he's earned the rave reviews that he has. It's 9 goals in the competition now this season in 13 games, 26 for the season in 43 matches all told. Still only 21. What a bright future he has ahead of him. Part of the Serbian side that's done so well at age group level, along with Kostic, the man who supplied the delivery for him there. And Eintracht lead Chelsea by a goal to 0. It's only the 4th goal Chelsea have conceded away from home in the Europa League so far this season. Eintracht have only conceded twice at home. Chelsea already have work to do. A promising opening 15 minutes. They've gone off the boil in the last 7 or 8 and have been punished for it.
Yeah, I mean, you could question the defending. Chelsea had the ball in a reasonably good position, but yes, David Luiz and Christensen should be very aware of the form that the player's in, but I think David Luiz isn't expecting that to be finished from there. I think he's just kind of ambling into the box, isn't he, the centre forward, and the delivery is good, but it's all about the finish. I mean, to guide it into the far post was sublime.
And now Kostic has nudged it one way of Azpilicueta and run the other. Christensen just comes back into the vacant right back area and covers for his captain. And Pedro can do the rest. The referee has spotted an infringement, and Chelsea's quick counter-attack breaks down, but they have time to just gather their thoughts and still work the ball relatively quickly from the restart out towards the left-hand side. Willian now. Down the left-hand side of the penalty area, Giroud will make the run. Hinteregger has been touch tight to him pretty much all night and stopped the cross being an effective one. Trapp can come out and throw himself towards the loose ball on the penalty spot and gather before it gets to N'Golo Kanté. It's 25 minutes in, Chelsea finding themselves behind by a goal to 0.
Well, I've seen some really abject Chelsea first half performances away from home, but in those games invariably they didn't concede him. It was kind of in the second half because of a series of missed chances, and they go in at 0-0 and lose handsomely in the end to teams like Everton and Bournemouth. Well, this is a different predicament because they have conceded in the first half when they've been pretty average from the first whistle. Let's see how they respond to going a goal behind this evening. And I thought it was just a brilliant bit of finishing, to be honest. They were pretty well set defensively, and let's see what the response is.
Hinteregger Just losing out to Conte. Giroud chasing after the ball, his eyes lit up for a moment, but it was easily cleared. And played down towards Jovic, the goal scorer, but Christensen's there first for Chelsea. Now David Luiz. His ball forward into the feet of Willian. Back for David Luiz again. Takes a touch, brings it onto his right foot inside the centre circle. Plays it between the lines for Conte. Conte back for Azpilicueta. Now to Pedro. Pedro coming in off the right-hand side, just shadowed by the left wing-back Kostic, who doesn't really pay too much attention to the defensive side of his game. Pedro fires one in from distance. Head in his hands for a moment. It was about 25 yards out, and he met it really sweetly on his left foot after it had set up nicely for him. Trap probably just about had it covered. It went a couple of feet wide.
David Luiz afforded a bit of space on a couple of occasions there to play really nice probing passes, a lot of pace on his delivery into the front players, and Pedro does that brilliantly. He's equally good with either foot, so no problem at all coming in on his left side. Snapshot, and only a couple of yards wide. You'd have expected the goalkeeper to have saved it in any case, but a decent response from Chelsea.
David Luiz. Now to Willian. Willian back for Kepa Arrizabalaga. And then out from the back again to Christensen. Another goal at the Emirates. TalkSport 2's Ian Abraham.
26 gone, and it's Arsenal 2, Valencia 1. Alexander Lacazette has scored it. Lovely cross coming in from the left-hand side from Mesut Ozil. And Lacazette 8 yards out with a header. Goalkeeper pushed it onto the post, but he couldn't keep it out. Goal line technology gave it. In the end, it was miles over the line. Arsenal come from behind here. Arsenal 2, Valencia 1.
That one set up beautifully at the moment. 2-1 to Arsenal. Valencia with the away goal. Chelsea hoping that they can come from behind as well, trailing to Luka Jovic's goal some 6 minutes ago. And the men in yellow have the ball on the front foot, but then Pedro with just an elaborate little back heel flick that lacked precision. Now as a consequence, possession was turned over. Hinteregger volleys it away. Brought back down inside the centre circle by Christensen. Christensen to Jorginho, ball from him to Pedro. Pedro turns and sees Azpilicueta make a run on the overlap down the right-hand side. He went the other way into the congested midfield area. It was easily cleared, but then given away sloppily by the hosts. And Jorginho can work it out towards Willian once more. With 29 minutes gone, Chelsea trailing 1-0. Willian's ball into the feet of Conte. Back for Loftus-Cheek. Now to Jorginho. Jorginho on the edge of the centre circle to the extravagantly coiffured David Luiz. And here's long right-footed ball for Conte. Made an excellent run, but the ball sailed over his head. Kevin Trapp saw him coming and came off his line very quickly, and his handling was assured.
Yeah, well, the Chelsea system demands that the midfield players don't be too safe with their movement and come to feet all the time. It's great when I see Conte making those runs. He's got in for a couple of big goals this season. Manchester City springs to mind, and Palace away as well. So good forward movement, but drilled pass from David Luiz, a bit too much pace on it, and Conte looked to be getting in.
Hinteregger in very strongly on Giroud again, who ended up on the deck, but play goes on. Jovic just dropping back. He's got a good eye for a pass as well. Just nicely flights one out towards the right-hand side for Danny Da Costa. Back from him to Fernandes. Now to Hasebe. To Da Costa again. Over on the right flank, a precise ball in from him, looking for Jovic. David Luiz was there to clear. Loftus-Cheek on the edge of his own penalty area can turn out of trouble very ably. Chelsea maintain possession, go back to David Luiz on the edge of their own box, and he sends another long left-footed ball forward, trying to get Pedro isolated against Fillet, but he couldn't beat the Guinean defender. And again, Eintracht whack it upfield, but Costa will help it on. David Luiz will run round it and regain possession for Chelsea. Half an hour in, it can only get better really. Eintracht Frankfurt 1, Chelsea 0 here on TalkSport 2.
Yeah, I mean, they're defending pretty competently to this stage. It's balls into Giroud's feet. His touch has got to be immaculate, but as you said, Jimmy's been pressed quite aggressively on his first touch and he's given it away too easily at times. The one time Chelsea have looked dangerous was Loftus-Cheek getting away Hasebe in the middle of the pitch and just making them a bit more disjointed, making them have to adapt their positions. But it's not happened enough in this first half. They've been very compact, Frankfurt, and made it hard for Chelsea to make any kind of inroads.
David Luiz inside his own penalty area. Just put under a little bit of pressure. Chip one safely from the left-hand side of the penalty area to the right for Christensen. Now Chelsea might be able to play round the forward press out towards Azpilicueta. Adi Hutter, the track coach, is just telling his players to condense a little bit in the midfield, Back he comes for Jorginho. Jorginho's ball forward, and that looked like a handball by Abraham. Giroud flicking it up into him. The referee was well placed, must have decided it was from such close proximity, actually pointing to his shoulder. Play goes on with David Luiz. Another long ball forward from him. It's an excellent pass out towards Emerson. Emerson has Willian behind him. 5 yards outside the penalty area. Goes for the return ball, but Abraham clears, and in doing so can find the white-booted Jovic, but his first touch wasn't the best. David Luiz finds Azpilicueta, and he just sends a high ball sailing into Eintracht territory, which is easily picked up by Kevin Trapp. Just having a look at a replay, and it hit the top of the arm rather than the shoulder of Abraham, but Giroud flicked it at him from such close quarters, and the arm was down by his side. There's nothing he could have done about that, really, the Argentinian defender.
No, certainly hit his arm, but I don't think he can get it out of the way. So, yeah, I think you have to give them the benefit of the doubt there.
Eintracht have it again. Asabe given away very cheaply by the 35-year-old. One back by Roda, but only temporarily. Loftus-Cheek now on the march, on the counter-attack. Willian to his left. Giroud going through the middle. It is Willian that he's played, and it comes back off Da Costa and out of play for the first corner of the night, which goes to Chelsea on their left flank.
Would have liked Loftus-Cheek to keep hold of the ball there and keep driving. Pushed it out to Willian, but his marker was nice and touched. There was an overlap opportunity. Loftus-Cheek making the dart round him, but Willian's intended little pass infield deflected wide for the corner, but it's the only time they look dangerous. Loftus-Cheek again breaking with the ball with grass in front of him.
Corner worked in short. It is in fact the second corner of the night, played into the feet of Pedro from the short one. They worked the first one short as well, and this one put back out of play for a throw, which will be taken by Emerson. Retrieves the ball, it's in his hands. He'll take 3 or 4 steps back towards the hoardings and prepare to launch a long one inside the penalty area. Dropped it short in the end at the feet of Giroud, and then as it comes back to Emerson, when he drives it in, it hits Abraham, goes out of play for another Chelsea corner, again on the left hand side. Will this one take a more direct route inside the penalty area? 11 minutes to go to half time here on TalkSport 2. Eintracht Frankfurt 1, Chelsea 0. Arsenal leading Valencia by 2 goals to 1. They've come from behind there. Williams ball in. Giroud making a darting near post run. It was easily cleared. Conte picks up the seconds outside the penalty area. They're ahead of Kacinovic. Now towards Willian. Left hand side of the box. He's turned back inside. Right footed curling effort towards the far post, but couldn't get it to whip in quickly enough. And it drifts wide of the far post and out of play for a goal kick.
Yeah, Conte did really well to just break up that potential counter-attack from Eintracht Frankfurt, and Willian got Fernandes in a position where the midfielder didn't want to be, fronted him up and just whipped a decent effort towards the far post, but just sailed a few yards wide of the upright. But yeah, it's not been a particularly good half for Chelsea. The set pieces in the last few moments causing Frankfurt a few problems, but half a few chances, you have to say, separated by a brilliant bit of finishing.
Luka Jovic's header, the only shot on target so far. Here's Kacinovic. They try to remedy that statistic from Eintracht's perspective, but according to two minds, it was easily cleared by Emerson, the Chelsea left back, and then Kacinovic in the next phase of play is brought down by Jorginho, and this is a free kick in a decent position because it's about 12 yards outside the box, left of centre. And an opportunity for the centre-halves to make their ways forward for a decent delivery here. Jorginho just didn't see that Kacinovic was coming in, raised his boot high, caught him amidships. So an opportunity here for Eintracht to test Chelsea's zonal marking again. And it's Roda that stands over it. Blonde-haired midfielder on loan from Dortmund, the man who scored the crucial aggregate equaliser in the quarter-final, which got them through on away goals. Here's Roda, right-footed, just feathered inside the penalty area, took a touch off Giroud on its way through, and coming in at the far post, Follett almost able to react the quickest and steer it in for 2-0.
But it's a flatter delivery, just trying to pick out the runners around the penalty spot rather than try and float it round to the far side where they had success before. But inadvertently the flick from Giroud very nearly giving Follett an opportunity on the far post.
Eintracht Frankfurt have their first corner of the night. 36 minutes gone. It's worked short. Willian easily beaten. And it comes in off Kicinovic and out of play for another corner. Just hit Jorginho on the ankle, just on the left-hand side of the penalty area. So a second Eintracht Frankfurt corner. And again, Roda will take it. It's got a quartet of black-shirted players getting ready to attack this. Hinteregger and Abraham both forward from the back. Roda again, working it short. This time it's back further adrift to the edge of the penalty area. Left-footed ball clipped in was really poor. Giroud's got the opportunity to bring it down and then fire it forward for Conte, who can lead the counter-attack. Chelsea not able to get too many bodies forward quickly, and the black shirts have got their possession and positions back behind the ball. Willian back out towards the left-hand side for Pedro. Still Chelsea in possession, running towards the edge of the penalty area, and his deflected effort hits Da Costa just about a yard or so in front of him and goes out of play for another Chelsea corner.
Yeah, really poor from Kostic, and Conte broke quickly, but just had no support. The crossfield ball that it actually was able to engineer eventually was tremendous to Willian. But again, back into their shape nice and quickly, Frankfurt, and the corner is the best that Chelsea can do.
It's a corner which Willian will take. Giroud trying to get free at the near post. It's fired over him. He's gone down inside the penalty area, but he was judged to have pulled Hinteregger over rather than the other way round. And it's a free kick to Eintracht Frankfurt. Just having a look at a replay. What do you make of that?
I'd be very surprised if Hinteregger hasn't got the first bit of contact, but Giroud does have a tug of his shirt. Maybe that's what the referee sees. The second little tug, infringement, and goes against the Frenchman.
Mauricio Sarri wasn't happy with the decision. I was quick to let the Spanish fourth official know. Olivier Giroud, judging by the replays, when the referee is Spanish, he swears it in English rather than French. It was very easy to see what he thought of the decision. The ball is played forward, knocked away by Chelsea to Loftus-Cheek. Back for David Luiz again. Chelsea have had the majority of possession, 57% in the game so far, but haven't been able to garner a single attempt on target for all the ball that they've had. David Luiz, right-footed crossfield delivery from him. Looks as though Follett was beaten and Pedro's able to emerge with the ball, but Roda stopped him getting too far, and it goes out of play for a throw which has been given Chelsea's way. I think the Eintracht players thought that it was going to go the other way. N'Golo Conte trying to turn. Flicks it down towards Azpilicueta on the right flank. Azpilicueta in space, just still waiting to see if Pedro can pull it back to him. Eventually it's knocked off Azpilicueta by Kostic and out of play. And Azpilicueta and Roda and Pedro and Kostic, the walking wounded, all four of them down for a moment after a couple of heavy challenges apiece. It is 1-0. Let's go back to the Emirates. Arsenal leading Valencia. The last time we heard from TalkSport 2's Ian Abraham.
Still the way of it, 7 to half-time. Arsenal 2, Valencia 1. The Gunners have come from behind, starting to look better now, Jim. Although at the back, they still look like they could concede more goals. This isn't over yet, believe me. Arsenal 2, Valencia 1.
David Luiz in possession for Chelsea. Inside the centre circle. Finding Willian. Willian to Loftus-Cheek, who just dropped that little bit deeper there. He's not moving particularly comfortably at the moment, Ruben Loftus-Cheek. It just goes up through the gears now. He's okay. Willian. Back from Jorginho, out to Loftus-Cheek again, who's drifted out towards the left-hand touchline. Jorginho playing it back through for Willian inside the centre circle, and his ball forward and hit briskly at Pedro, who just lost his footing as he tried to control it. It's played back instead. Giroud with a little flick, and Hinteregger is going to be there first to get it away from Loftus-Cheek. But that was better from Chelsea. Good improvisation from Olivier Giroud, but he needed the third man runner, and now they're in danger as the ball is played forward. And they've got away with it, Chelsea. It was just flicked forward. Kicinovic trying to get goal side of Christensen, and it looked for a moment as though he might have been pulled back. Christensen already on a yellow card. The referee said that there was nothing wrong with the challenge. Play continues with Chelsea in possession. Kicinovic was far from happy. Thought that he had been impeded there, and it should have been at the very least a free kick, and it might have been a second yellow card for Andres Christensen as well, but he's got away with it. Willian playing it for Conte. To his right, he's got Azpilicueta. Turns the other way. Plays an excellent incisive through ball towards Giroud. Willian trying to get away from Da Costa. He's able to retain possession with the help of Emerson. Willian then chipping it inside the penalty area, off the top of Abraham's head. Giroud heading it down, right for his shot from Loftus-Cheek, on target, blistering pace, but it hit Follett and goes out of play for a corner.
Well, it's goal bound, gets plenty behind it. Olivier Giroud just keeping it alive. Don't think he picks out Ruben Loftus-Cheek, and fortunately for Frankfurt, Follett's in the right position. Just seen that one again. Christensen lucky. I think if the touch is softer and he's got potentially the chance to get on it, I think maybe he sees another yellow card. The ball ran through to the goalkeeper. That's probably why Chelsea have been let off.
Come back to that in a moment as Emerson plays it forward towards Loftus-Cheek. Loftus-Cheek on the edge of the penalty area into a shooting position. Ruben Loftus-Cheek a fraction wide. Chelsea's best chance of the game. Ruben Loftus-Cheek looks to the heavens. He knows that was close. He worked the angle so cleverly on the edge of the penalty area. It's just brushed the outside of the post on its way past for a goal kick.
Well, again, it's him up against Hassabi. He can't live with him. He's got the power. It took an age to get his strike away, and in the end he just choked it wider than near post, but he's looking like Chelsea's biggest threat since the first few minutes.
Going back to that Christensen attempt to win the ball as it was played over the top for Gacinovic, he knew that Gacinovic was in, and I think just in the nick of time he realised what the implication was of getting another yellow card, and he tried to pull his left hand away. It brushed the shoulder of Gacinovic, no more than that. It was enough to put him off his stride, but not deemed to be a foul. Here's Willian now inside the penalty area. He did all the hard work until the pullback, which just allowed Danny Da Costa the opportunity to come back and smuggle it clear for what will be Chelsea's sixth corner. But Chelsea are warming to their task here.
Yeah, it's a better spell, and it's a little nutmeg on Abraham, and I'm surprised, even though the angle's really acute, Willian, you'd expect him just to whip that towards the far post. Outside of the right foot, little set for Loftus-Cheek and intercepted.
Anything that comes back off the goalkeeper might well have bounced to a yellow shirt attacking it. In comes the corner. Kevin Trapp comes out. He got the strong enough hand to it to help it away from the cavalry charge. And it's out of play for a throw, which will be taken on the Chelsea right-hand side. 90 seconds to go to half-time. They're a couple of minutes behind us at Arsenal, who lead 2-1 with those two Alex Lacazette goals after Victor Diakabi had given Valencia the lead. It's Luka Jovic who scored the goal for Eintracht Frankfurt tonight. They lead Chelsea 1-0 as they've done for the last 20 minutes. Ball's knocked away by Gelson Fernandez, forward through the midfield, picked up by David Luiz. Kostic to Roda, and then Hassabe loses out. The referee's let plenty go tonight. He's been very consistent. Pedro Azpilicueta, second attempt to deliver a ball. It's knocked out of play by Follett, and just the throw inside of the corner flag by the look of it. There was another late challenge, and N'Golo Kanté on Hassabe that time, and he let that go as well. That should have been a free kick, but he has been consistent. He's just let play develop. And the niggly little fouls he's ignored. Willian swinging the ball in. David Luiz going up for it. Headed away by Follett. Back for Loftus-Cheek. Trying to turn away from Follett. Set up Pedro. Pedro! 1-1. Excellent finish. There's Chelsea's away goal. Ruben Loftus-Cheek deserves an enormous amount of credit. Holding it up. Finding Pedro. And Pedro turning and celebrating the 500th game of his career with the away goal for Chelsea that ties it up right at the end of the first half at 1-1.
Well, it was a really good delivery that had Frankfurt in trouble. Willian's cross looked like Luiz was going to have a free header. When it drops, Loftus-Cheek again trying to engineer the space, bringing it inside onto his right foot, then the presence of mind to find Pedro. And I've already spoken about his ability to strike with either foot, and it's an unerring finish right across the goalkeeper into the far post. It's a fantastic strike. They've been knocking on the door the last few moments. Been a good response from Chelsea.
It is their first shot on target. 1-1. Pedro's fourth goal in Europe this season. It's his first away goal in any competition in 2019, ending a 12-game barren spell on the road. The last time that he scored away from Stamford Bridge was at Brighton back in December. 1-1 the scoreline. We're now in one additional minute of time added on at the end of the first half. Azpilicueta heading the ball forward for N'Golo Kanté. Pedro guiding it forward. It's just rolled over the touchline. And out of play for a throw to be taken by Eintracht down the left-hand side. Two balls on the pitch though. Not the first time that's happened tonight. Kostic just asked to retake the throw. Probably about another 10-15 seconds to play. Back it goes for Follett, and indeed the referee decides that doesn't even have to play that. And Chelsea's half-time team talk will be completely different now. Luka Jovic giving Eintracht Frankfurt the lead, the midway point of the first half, but right at the end, Loftus-Cheek setting up Pedro, the 139th goal of his career, his 40th for Chelsea, as he plays the 500th match of his senior career. And at half-time, it's Eintracht Frankfurt 1, Chelsea 1. Russ, thank you. Well, let me remind you that TalkSport 2 supports the work of Prostate Cancer UK. And remember that in the time it takes to play a game of football, 2 men in the UK will die of prostate cancer. To find out more and how you can help, visit prostatecanceruk.org/football. We are back underway. Eintracht Frankfurt 1, Chelsea 1. Eintracht in all black, kicking from left to right in the second half. Chelsea in all yellow with the blue trim, having equalised on 45 minutes through Pedro after Luka Jovic's opener midway through the half. Olivier Giroud chasing a ball that was played forward. There were 3 Eintracht defenders converging on it. It did look as though it might break Giroud's way, but between them, the trio of Eintracht players were able to clear their lines. And Chelsea will pick it up at the back with Christensen, who's the only player who's been booked so far this evening. Let me remind you of the Chelsea team: Aretha Balaga in goal, Azpilicueta, Christensen, David Luiz and Emerson, Conte, Jorginho and Loftus-Cheek, Willian, Giroud and Pedro. Zappacosta, Alonso, Kovacic, Barkley, Higuain and Caballero on the bench, as is Eden Hazard. Here is Ruben Loftus-Cheek, left-hand side of the penalty area. He's got plenty of space. Emerson on position, and the referee's done him no favours. Couldn't get the shot in that he wanted because he would have drilled it straight at the referee. Here's Conte, back down towards Willian. And Willian 67 yards in for the left-hand touchline. Back for N'Golo Conte again. Now down towards Emerson. Conte to Willian. Willian turning right in front of his coach, just knocks it out towards the right-hand touchline via Christensen to find Azpilicueta. Ball forward from him to the Chelsea goal scorer Pedro. Pedro trying to work it forward, and Follett will do his best to shepherd it out of play. Hasn't got the legs to run over the line. It's actually stopped down on the corner quadrant. Follett tries to hold off Azpilicueta and win the throw, and in the end he's managed it. Eintracht lining up, trapping goal. Abraham, Hinteregger and Follett, the back 3. Da Costa and Kostic, very enterprising wing backs in midfield. Chelsea Fernandez and Hasebi, then Roda and Gacinovic, and Jovic, the goal scorer, up front. Alongside me, Sam Parkin.
Well, it was a real intensive start from the home side, but I just thought it drained away from them a little bit in that first period, and that's going to be the interesting thing. Have they got it in them have they got the energy to go again at this stage of the season, having been pegged back by that Chelsea goal? And the longer the half went on, Chelsea grew. The possession obviously was in Chelsea's favour, and they've started the second half in that same regard. It's been a strong start to the second half for Chelsea, already having a half chance through Emerson, played in by Loftus-Cheek.
Have only been beaten once in Europe so far this season, Eintracht, which was the first leg of the quarter-final when they lost 4-2 in Lisbon against Benfica. 4-1 down at one stage in that game, and down to 10 men, so it was a heroic comeback to make it through to the semi-finals from that position. It's just been a clash of heads here. Sebastian Roda and Jorginho, the 2 players involved, and both are going to need some treatment. So we'll find out what's been going on in the very early stages of the second half. I know you only played too long since half-time, Ian Abrahams.
It's still Arsenal 2, Valencia 1. We played only a couple of minutes of the second half, Jim. To be fair, the second half hasn't actually settled down. No half-time changes. Arsenal 2, Valencia 1.
Thank you, Moose. 1-1 between Eintracht and Chelsea, and Jorginho has come off the worst of the 2 players.
Yeah, it looked like a sore one, clashing with Roda there. Just what you were saying there, Jim. They've been in every game, haven't they? They've been so competitive throughout this Europa competition, apart from that Benfica game down to 10 men. So they haven't rolled over at any stage, and the magnitude of some of the clubs that they've got beyond is pretty incredible as well. So I expect them to be competitive. Like I said, it's a little bit, I won't say leggy, but the zip that was there early part of this game maybe just got a little bit deeper, a goal to the good. and a little bit safe maybe in their play in that first half, and Chelsea grew. And like I said, through Loftus-Cheek, I think he was the catalyst really, and maybe recognising that he had the beating of those more senior statesmen in the Frankfurt midfield.
Well, Jorginho continues to be assessed. He's still lying on his back at the moment. Sebastian Roda, I beg your pardon, is also being assessed. They're looking at a slight cut around his eye. Jorginho is lying down. Of course, we've already seen in the European action this week with Jan Vertonghen that the concussion protocols have to be followed absolutely to the letter. He's okay, Jorginho. He's laughing and joking as they're putting a tube grip bandage around his forehead and around the top of the head. He's going to be very easy to pick out with the big bandage on him. Roda's okay. Thumbs up from the Eintracht medical staff. But a long break in play here. The medical staff with Chelsea are just making sure that Jorginho stayed still. They're assessing his neck as well as having a look at the cut on his head. But he's okay. He's back on his feet and seemingly is going to be able to continue. 6 minutes into the second half. There's probably a break of about 3 minutes or so just to make sure Jorginho is all right. It's a handshake between him and Roda. And the referee just going across telling the pair of them when they're going to be allowed back on. There was another handshake between them, and then they both patted each other on the back. They were both going for the same ball. There's absolutely no way there's any malice from either player whatsoever, but it will have hurt the pair of them. But they're back on and able to continue. 6 gone second half, 1-1. Jorginho lets the ball run past him. Roda chases after the loose one, which will be picked up by Christensen, and then Azpilicueta whacks it away from right back, picked up then at the back by Hinteregger. The Austrian guides it for Gacinovic. It just comes off him and goes out of play for a throw, which will be taken on the Chelsea right-hand side. 1-1.
Yeah, he's been quiet, hasn't he, Gacinovic? Not been able to link up really with the central striker, and then just not really been able to build on that goal. I felt it was going to be a really tough evening for Chelsea from there on in, but good response, been in charge of the football, not too much on either goal. Chelsea will feel, I believe, given what Eintracht Frankfurt had attacking-wise in that first half, that they can go on and win this game.
Here's Danny Da Costa making his way forward down the right-hand side from the wing-back position. David Luiz was just kicked out at and ends up on the deck. Decision goes his way. Da Costa goes across and it helps him back to his feet. Danny Da Costa, who scored a couple of goals against Lazio in the group stage, the former Leverkusen player. Chelsea have sent Eden Hazard out to warm up. I think in the grand scheme of things, 1-1 at the start of the night would have been considered a good result for Chelsea, a score draw with that away goal. But now with the way the game has developed over the last 15 minutes or so either side of half-time, probably think that Chelsea would feel that they can, as you say, Sam, win it from here. Emerson launching it long, but away from Giroud. Hasn't really been any guile or finesse about Chelsea going forward. That's been one criticism you'd make of them. Goes out of play for another goal kick.
Yeah, and with certainly Rebic to return for the second leg, and maybe Haller as well, you know, to get their nose in front today, Chelsea, because there'll be a different proposition, I think, with that trio reunited potentially for the second leg. So there's a big chance here for Chelsea, because they look a little bit, I suppose they're a bit patched up this evening, and I wouldn't be surprised if they get a little bit leggy towards the latter stages, considering certainly the age of those two midfield players.
And with that trio in the side of Jovic, Rebic and Haller, they did win at the San Siro away to Inter Milan in the round of 16. A 0-0 draw at home, followed by a 1-0 victory in Italy, a match that they scored a very early goal with Jovic and then were pretty much untroubled in seeing the job through from there. So they're capable away from home, but Chelsea will feel they're in the box seat here at the moment. Conte exchanging passes with David Luiz, gets it away from Roda. Loftus-Cheek can bring it forward, and all of a sudden there's a bit of space to work, and he's just skipped around Hinteregger's challenge. Pedro Loftus-Cheek over the bar. That was a real chance for Chelsea in front of the Blues supporters at that end of the ground. Excellent approach play, everything good until the finish.
Well, again, has to be, and Fernandes nowhere near Loftus-Cheek when he picks up the ball in a big pocket of space, exchanges passes with Pedro. I think he can take the shot on before he actually shifts it to the right hand side to Pedro. The return skipping up to a degree, but he should still do better. Whips across the ball, but a couple of yards over the top, and that's my one criticism with him, Jim. If he can add that little final product to his game, he should be getting more goals than he is. I know he had a purple patch early part of the season in the Europa, but he's so capable. I just don't know if he's the most accomplished or most natural finishers once he gets in. There's still improvement to be made in his game in that regard.
Yeah, he got that hat-trick against Barto, but they've been patchy, they've been sporadic, his goal contributions. A couple recently, a big one at Cardiff, and then scored against Brighton as well. Now Chelsea work it forward again. David Luiz sending another long, high, hopeful ball forward, but into a very good area, and Pedro giving chase. Just couldn't quite get on the end of it. Goes through for Kevin Trapp, the Eintracht goalkeeper. They've got 3 games left in the Bundesliga season. Chelsea, of course, only 2 Premier League matches left. Eintracht with a 3-point advantage above Borussia Mönchengladbach in 5th. The top 4 make it through to the Champions League, but games they've got coming up: Leverkusen away, then the second leg of this, then at home to Mainz, and they finish the season away at Bayern Munich, and they might go into that needing a positive result to stay up. Bayern might go into that still needing something to clinch the title, so it's not a great position. They are confident that by one means or the other they will make it through to the Champions League, which will be some achievement for them. Pedro just keeping the ball in on the Chelsea right, finding the stretching and sliding Conte. He's lost out. Balek can bring it away. Not too far away, but Vucinovic then wins it back from Christensen. Jorginho's in strongly, and this referee deemed fairly, and then the ball will be played forward. This time he will give a free kick. It's against Hinteregger, who has just renewed his acquaintance with Olivier Giroud, let's say. There have been a number of those. Hinteregger getting the better of Giroud in a very physical manner. This time the referee has given the free kick.
Just can't get going. Eintracht Frankfurt in the second half can't get hold of the ball. Jorginho winning the little knockdown there, threading it into Giroud. He has to stretch but keeps it alive. Loftus-Cheek again, the player running off the centre forward. Referee brings it back for the free kick, but the visitors in control now, Jim.
Play forward towards the edge of the penalty area. Giroud can't hold it up. Eintracht will be able to bring it away and then give it away. It's a rare mistake by Jovic. Pedro to Loftus-Cheek. Willian to his left-hand side. This is a big moment. Willian inside the penalty area. He's just turned into traffic, and when he does eventually get the shot in, it's easily saved by Trapp. Needed to turn the other way, really, onto the left-hand side. It would have been a much better position for him, but by the time he brought it onto his favoured right foot, there were black shirts converging on him from all angles.
I mean, just can't keep the ball now. Frankfurt, Chelsea breaking quickly, and he just doesn't want to strike it with his left foot, Willian. He never does it, but because he can change direction, skip past people, even when he's coming infield so quickly, still got the shot away.
He has it again now. Running towards the edge of the area, foul by Hasebe, and that will be a yellow card. First shown to an Eintracht Frankfurt player. 35-year-old in the heart of the midfield is labouring, and he just made an attempt to win the ball. He was miles away from it and ended up making contact just below the right knee of Willian. So here's a free kick in a very good position.
I'd be very surprised if they don't make a change soon. Hasebe all night really, he hasn't got the legs, especially when you've got very dynamic runners in the Chelsea team just picking up spaces in and around him and taking ball beyond him. He can't recover, neither can Fernandes. They've got to shore that area up, or they're going to lose this game.
Well, David Luiz certainly will fancy his chances from this kind of area. It's a long way out, but he's hit them in from further than here before. In fact, by the time the referee has marshalled the wall back, he's standing inside the penalty area. So it's just left of centre, about 9 yards outside the box. Almost position A for David Luiz. Chelsea have been very clever in the wall. They've got a wall of 3 themselves in the central position, which is to the side of the Eintracht Frankfurt wall. And Kevin Trapp, I think, is trying to get Eintracht players in behind that contingent of Chelsea players who are going to split here and try and get out of the way and create the space for David Luiz. There's not going to be an awful lot of guile about this. This is going to be brute force and power, but will it have the necessary precision? Big run up, right foot in. Oh, it's a good attempt, a really good attempt. It's come off the bar. I don't think the goalkeeper got a touch to help it on its way, and he's just hit straight through the ball and he beat trap, smacks the frame of the goal and goes over.
May have just brushed his fingertips, certainly cracks off the bar. It's that technique, the Didier Drogba technique that Luis seems to have perfected over the last few seasons. A couple of vital goals for Chelsea in that fashion. He has given the corner, hasn't he?
He has, first of the second half. And Pedro is the player who's going to take it. We played an hour. Eintracht Frankfurt 1, Chelsea 1. Really poor delivery from Chelsea. Hit the nearest defender. And Costa or Fernandes should I say, having controlled it after it was whacked at him, and had the opportunity just to launch it upfield. But there's an inevitability that it will come back again. And Chelsea in this second half have been completely dominant. Possession has been up around the 80% mark in this second period. They have possession again. Eintracht just trying to keep their shape, almost have a little bit of a breather off the ball. They do need to make changes, and just wonder how they're going to shuffle things around. Jonathan de Guzman would be the player you would imagine would come on for Hasebe, but he's a more attack-minded central midfielder than the Japanese. First man to be brought on will be Hayden Hazard, and he's going to come on in a moment. It looks as though it's a premeditated decision that he would get the last half hour. Might come on now because Chelsea have a free kick. Loftus-Cheek has been fouled by Gelson Fernandes. Man City and Leicester fans will remember his disciplinary record with a wry smile. That's 13 yellows and a red that he's had now this season after that latest caution. 1-1 the score.
Yeah, I mean, not the best news, is it, ever for Frankfurt? Willian sacrificed, Hazard comes on, and he will go and get the ball in that pocket, exactly how Chelsea have been getting success in this second period. They can't live with the runners from midfield at the moment, and something's got to give, otherwise there's going to be more goals in this game for the visitors.
1-1 the scoreline. De Costa taking a throw for Eintracht. Back inside to Abraham. Knocked away by Jorginho. Emerson right on the left-hand touchline plays it forward. Hinteregger will run round it, and under pressure from Giroud will be able to guide it back to his goalkeeper. Let's go back to the Emirates. Arsenal taking on Valencia. Here's TalkSport 2's Ian Abrahams.
Exactly half an hour to go. Arsenal 2, Valencia 1. Valencia's attacks more sporadic in the second half. Much more possession for Arsenal, but they haven't for all that tested the goalkeeper Neto in this second period yet. Torreira on for Guendouzi. Arsenal 2, Valencia 1.
Similar story in this one. Aretha Balaga has been a spectator in this second half. I don't think he's touched the ball. He certainly hasn't had a save to make in the second half. It's all Chelsea since the resumption. As Piliqueta here, right-footed ball driven in. Gacinovic will try and bring it away but can't get too far, and some of them visibly labouring now, the Eintracht players. Talked before the game about the fact that reports suggested they'd hit the wall. It seems to have come to fruition. Here's Loftus-Cheek to his left-hand side for Emerson. Emerson on the corner of the penalty area. First contribution here for Eden Hazard. Don't watch the eyes. He just looked one way and then delivered the ball the other into the edge of the penalty area to the feet of Loftus-Cheek. He gets it back now from Emerson. Then Hazard will play it back past the bandaged Jorginho. Christensen to Jorginho. Then played over the top. Giroud on the turn. Left-footed shot hits Hinteregger, his shadow, and goes out of play for a corner.
Yeah, nice little bit of movement just off the shoulder of the centre-half, beautifully found by Jorginho. Would have taken something spectacular to squeeze it in from there, but does take the nick. Hinteregger's toe behind for another corner, but really turning the screw. It's been a really good second-half performance, but yeah, aligned with the fact that the home side are really struggling.
Hazard takes the corner. Near post flick is forthcoming. Gacinovic is going to be able to bring it away. We'll try and lead a counter-attack. Conte has done really well to stop him making immediate headway, and then Jorginho chases after it, wires into the challenge and gets it out of play for a throw. She can take him quickly. All of a sudden there's a little bit of space. Jovic able to control it. Fernandes made an uncharted run through the middle. Now to be played down towards the left-hand side of the box, but not with the requisite quality. And he goes past Gacinovic and out of play for a goal kick. But that was just a little warning shot across the bows of Chelsea that when they do go up through the tempo and can commit bodies forward, Chelsea can be exposed.
It was actually brilliant movement from Jovic there, but the pass went a little bit behind him, and it meant that he had to come and just get hold of the ball and try and link it. If it had gone a fraction beyond him, I think he's in on goal there. Really intelligent movement, but the sting gone out of the attack because the pass was a little bit short. But I can't see it at the moment. There's no drive from midfield. There's no one getting beyond Jovic. But while you've got a young, accomplished finisher at the top of his game in the side, there's always a chance. But I think it will come through him or a set piece or not at all.
Well, Eintracht have lost every two-legged tie they've played against English opposition. Their only win was against West Ham in the semi-finals of the European Cup Winners' Cup back in 1976. They won the first leg and lost the second at Upton Park and went out. We'll go back to the last decade for the last time that they actually played an English team. It was a 0-0 draw with Newcastle in the UEFA Cup back in 2006 in that strange group stage where the sides only played each other once. Here's Loftus-Cheek. Back it goes for Jorginho. Chipped over the top, headed on by Giroud. Conte made a third man run in behind him, but Fillet can clear. David Luiz then flicks it forward. Little clip ball on the half volley with his left foot. Conte making something happen again. Works it out towards the right-hand touchline. An opportunity here for Pedro. Hazard stealing a march on the far post. Giroud waiting in the middle. Good turn from Giroud. Hinteregger as he bundled him over. Referee again has a look and says no. Gacinovic will be able to bring it away. Giroud may well have been playing for that, but I do think that Hinteregger lent into him and certainly had a left hand around Giroud. Could have been given.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good ball in from Jorginho. They're on the same wavelength there. Maybe Giroud's touch just gets a little bit away from him and he's falling. It's maybe in the referee's mind, but it was a slight tug on him all the way through that little bit of play. Probably, unfortunately, you get that middle of the pitch, I would say, Jim, but probably a bit soft to be given as a penalty. I think that's natural sometimes with the officials.
Eden Hazard making his way forward. Can't beat Fernandes. Jorginho in strongly on him. One number 5 on the other. Loftus-Cheek picks up the loose ball in the midfield. There's space for Emerson on the Chelsea left. Hazard has just rolled it forward to him. Emerson, as he drives it in, hits Hasebe and goes out of play for a corner, which will be taken on the Chelsea left-hand side. It is their 9th of the game to the 2 that Eintracht have won. Eintracht unbeaten at home in 11 Europa League matches. They've won 9 of them. Only Porto and Inter have left Frankfurt with a positive result. Chelsea will certainly fancy their chances with the 25 minutes that are left. The corner comes in. David Luiz makes a near post run. Kevin Trapp, the goalkeeper, batters it clear. Chelsea will work it all the way back inside their own half. Well, be picked up at the back by Aretha Balaga, and he has now had a touch in this second half. Don't forget, Sports Day back tomorrow morning here on TalkSport 2 from 6 with Paul Coyne and Joe Shannon giving you your latest fix of sports news tomorrow. They've got sports headlines every 15 minutes, the transfer centre as well every half an hour. That's Sports Day tomorrow from 6 a.m. here on TalkSport 2. Chelsea in possession with Jorginho in the midfield. Possession down to 70% in the second half for Chelsea. The couple of flurries that Eintracht have been able to launch. We're exactly midway through the second half. Chelsea with the away goal scored by Pedro after Jovic had given Eintracht the lead. Pedro has it now. Back towards Christensen. Didn't read the fact that Roda was going to come in and win it back. And Fernandes has to play it back towards Fillet. Fillet turns into trouble and then quickly away from it on the edge of his own penalty area, but his clearance will be picked up by Conte. And he's in there again, just nipping in goal side of Kostic. Kostic losing out. Fillet eventually can clear his lines out of play for a Chelsea throw, but they can't maintain possession, they can't get bodies upfield. I'm amazed that they haven't really done anything to try and influence things with the changes of personnel or system so far.
Astonished, really. It seems like a matter of time. They can't keep the ball. They look leggy. They go into ground too often. They can't get up to the ball at times, and therefore they're getting deeper and deeper. And Jorginho now is completely dictating the play. He's able to get free. Christensen now just popping it into him, and he's started to really make Chelsea tick in his second half. It's a much improved performance, but you have to say that Frankfurt look dead on their feet.
Jorginho wins the throw, which he will take himself. Another player that they could bring on off the bench is the Spaniard Lucas Toro, who signed from Osasuna last summer, a product of the Real Madrid Youth Academy. He's a central midfielder in a game that's crying out for one, really, from an Eintracht point of view. And eyebrows were raised at Sarri's team selection. I know that it's 1-1, they're not ahead, but they've been so superior in the second half with 20 minutes to go and with the away goal. You'd say that at the moment he's completely vindicated with the team that he's picked tonight. And also, of course, if Chelsea beat Watford on Sunday. Another loose ball through the midfield. It's intended for Abraham, the centre-half, but Gajinovic's pass went past him. And it's out for a throw, which will be taken by Emerson. He has been disappointing tonight. Mijat Gacinovic, part of the Serbian side that won the Under-20 World Cup back in 2015. He's not a goal scorer by any stretch of the imagination, despite the fact that he would play as a 10 or as a winger, but just hasn't really been able to influence the game or feed Jovic, the player ahead of him tonight. Christensen, 6 or 7 yards outside the penalty area for Chelsea. Worked forward very intelligently from him. Now Giroud makes a good move and he's just drawn Hinteregger out of position. Just tries to lay it back. Pedro picks up the second ball. Hazard made a run, then stuck the brakes on very quickly. Make sure he didn't stray offside. Emerson gets it back. Emerson's ball in. Pedro, the feet not quite tricky enough to be able to get it away from Gelson Fernandez, and it will come back again. Loftus-Cheek turning it, just brushes the paint of the centre circle on its way through for Azpilicueta. Now down towards N'Golo Conte, turns away from Kostic, back for Jorginho to Pedro. Loose ball from Pedro again, second time in 30 seconds or so. Then Hasebe turns it back to his goalkeeper under pressure, but Trapp can clear. Long ball forward. David Luiz heads it down. Loftus-Cheek with a wonderful turn. Gets away from Fernandez. Rise the challenge of Roda. Still Loftus-Cheek. Now Hazard. 3 to aim at in the middle if he can get it across, but he can't beat Abraham. And then as he had a little nibble to win the ball back, he's caught him. The referee says no foul. And it will be a Chelsea throw rather than Eintracht Frankfurt free kick. Very possibly the only person in the stadium that saw it that way. Here's Emerson. Now Loftus-Cheek. Loftus-Cheek again trying to get past the first challenge. Giroud with the shot. He shanked it and it goes wide of the near post, now to play for a goal kick.
Getting so much joy down this left-hand side, in particular Emerson, Loftus-Cheek. I think it's because Da Costa just doesn't want to track back, or he hasn't got the capability now late in the game to get back into a position. I think Olivier Giroud, if he was a little bit more aware, could have just poked it through Emerson on the overlap, took the strike on from a really difficult angle and well off target, but it feels like it's a matter of time. It really does at the moment.
Well, finally Eintracht will make their first change. And it's the Portuguese striker Gonçalo Paciencia who's going to come on. He scored at Benfica in the quarter-final, and as a former Porto player he certainly appreciated that goal, and he replaces Fernandez. So I imagine that Paciencia will go pretty much up top alongside Jovic, with Gacinovic in behind the pair of them. That's all well and good as an attacking threat, but they still need to get the service and forward towards the front pairing. In fact, Paciencia, I beg your pardon, is now playing as the most advanced. They've dropped Jovic that little bit deeper. Aretha Balaga's got the ball. He clears, right-footed. Sam, there are 17 minutes to go with the score at 1-1.
Well, it's bold because it doesn't solve any of the problems that we've been talking about. It looks like maybe there's going to be 2 number 10s there in behind the substitute now.
Giroud playing it wide for Eden Hazard. Chelsea's man wearing 10, but on the left-hand side of the attacking trident. Loftus-Cheek back for Emerson. Emerson trying to ride the challenges. 2 black shirts with him. He's played it in. Neat turn from Giroud, trying to emerge with possession and twist and turn and get away from Hinteregger. And Roda had time for a second touch on the edge of his own 6-yard box to dig it clear. Only just, and they survive. Jorginho then plays it back forward. Pedro, thick set with dark hair, just turning edge of the penalty area. He's done brilliantly, gets it onto his right foot. Azpilicueta on the overlap, time to measure the cross. Hazard went up for it, knew he was going to be beaten by Da Costa. He dropped off. Then Conte, back for Loftus-Cheek, inside the box, left-footed effort, beaten away by the keeper. Hazard can't hit the target because of a deflection from Hinteregger. It goes out of play for a corner.
Maybe a foul by Conte. Referee waves it away. That's what the whistles are about. But when it falls to Loftus-Cheek, stinging strike, left foot on his swinger. Keeper just parries it away, and Hazard instinctively striking it goalwards, and little deflection wide. The attempts really adding up now.
Another Chelsea corner. It's their 4th of the second half, their 10th of the game. And again, it's going to be played in from the left flank by Hazard. In from the Belgian. Almost cheekily going to try and divert it past the keeper at the near post, but it was headed away and then clattered upfield, and it'll be chased by Kostic, the left wing back, who's the man that they left forward, but despite his pace he couldn't get there first, and Chelsea will be able to run round it and bring it back forward again with Jorginho, chipped over the top, well dealt with by Follett, but Chelsea winning again with Azpilicueta. Giroud waiting in the middle. Hinteregger threw himself into the line of fire and was able to block the cross, and now they will be able to break, and a sliding challenge timed to perfection by Christensen stopped the ball finding Paciencia.
Really good defending from Christensen. He was in, ball from Jovic round the corner, and Christensen, bright, good position, just getting his toe to the ball. They need to take more risks, Chelsea. They need to flood the box. Still, Giroud is isolated in there when the ball goes wide. People in yellow shirts need to take risks. They'll get the goal.
Pedro for Emerson. Emerson's cross knocked away easily. Out only as far as Eden Hazard. 15 to go. Eintracht Frankfurt 1, Chelsea 1 on TalkSport 2. Hazard take it down towards the byline. Abraham puts it out of play for a throw. More action for you on TalkSport 2 on Saturday afternoon. West Ham against Southampton is our live offering from the Premier League. Sunday, it's Derby against West Brom in the polarising playoff picture in the Championship. West Brom already there, Derby hoping to join them. And over on TalkSport, Cardiff against Palace. Cardiff could be relegated. They will be if they lose that game. Monday night, Manchester City could be crowned champions depending on what happens with Liverpool at Newcastle. City at home to Leicester. Ray Houghton alongside me and Mark Saggers for that one Monday night over on TalkSport. 14 minutes to go in this one. Frankfurt 1, Chelsea 1. Loftus-Cheek was fouled. Eden Hazard with a free kick. Swung in. David Luiz, good save. Excellent movement. Decent header. Didn't quite get the power in it. Trap dive to his left-hand side. He read it and caught it.
The movement's perfect. I think he knows all the way it's going to be a great opportunity. He just doesn't get it down onto the ground. It's a good height for the goalkeeper. Straight at him, really. It's probably the best chance they've had, you'd have to say.
13 minutes to go. Second half, Chelsea have had 7 attempts. Eintracht haven't had any, but only 3 of the attempts have been on target. Now Eintracht break forward down the left-hand side, and they do win a rare corner. This, the first one that they've been able to fashion in the second half. Roda will go out to take it. Sebastian Roda picking up the ball, just takes it down towards the corner quadrant. Chelsea again defending zonally as always. Plenty of bodies back. Roda dropping it short. Chelsea players push out, and then Jorginho tries to stop Roda getting the ball in. Took an awkward bounce which stopped him crossing it. Chelsea should be able to get it away. It's just taken a deflection off an Eintracht player. There were appeals, I think, for a penalty which were waved away, and again the Spanish referee points at his shoulder, says it wasn't a handball, but the crowd and the Eintracht players certainly saw it differently, and Kostic is continuing to argue. He's absolutely convinced that that hit an arm in there. It was Giroud, and the replay suggests the referee got it absolutely right.
Yeah, spot on. I thought it was close seeing it live, but I haven't seen the replay. Definitely not a handball. His chest, and I'm astonished they took a short corner there, because Roda's taken an absolute age to get over there because he's knackered. They know that Chelsea is susceptible to balls into the box. Put it in there. It's their only chance probably of nicking this. Second best in open play. You get a set piece. There are your opportunities.
Eden Hazard for Chelsea, 1-1 the scoreline. Arsenal continues to lead 2-1 and will be back there very shortly. Conte over on the right hand touchline for Hazard, back for Conte again. Giroud making his way into the middle. Paciencia trying to block the cross, comes into the feet of Giroud. Giroud, Conte again. It just came in behind him and he couldn't quite flick it into his path as it's cleared upfield towards Jovic. It's won by Christensen, and Emerson will bring it forward. Emerson trying his luck. That one was blocked. Comes out for Jorginho. Jorginho has got Pedro to his left. 11 to go. 1-1 the scoreline. Emerson has it again. towards the edge of the penalty area. Can't get the better of Hasebe, who's certainly a waning influence on the game now. And a sliding challenge comes in from Jorginho. It's gone out of play for a throw. We'll go back to the Emirates. Arsenal against Valencia. Ian Abrahams.
Mera on as the sub, kept out by a good save by Cech at the other end. Lacazette could have filled his boots in the second half. 2 chances, Sam on a bad day would have taken. Arsenal 2, Valencia 1. Gunners need at least one more.
He never had bad days. Did you never see him play? 1-1 the scoreline in this game. Oh, you, Sam, sorry. Thought I meant Sam, somebody else. 1-1 the score, 10 minutes to go. Arsenal continuing to lead by 2 goals to 1. The second leg of that Valencia-Arsenal tie here on TalkSport Network next Thursday night. Eintracht restart play. It's a throw which is taken short to Hinteregger. Hinteregger down towards the right-hand side for Abraham. His ball down the right-hand touchline for Gonçalo Paciencia. And the Portuguese international just trying to hold it up, waiting for Da Costa's run outside him. Fires it inside the penalty area. A poor first touch, a decent second. Sets up Gacinovic. Back now towards Hasebe. Hasebe to Kostic. David Luiz smuggles it away. Hasebe back out towards Da Costa. Da Costa, he skipped round inside the penalty area. Great ball in! And the sliding Eintracht Frankfurt player just couldn't get the touch to turn it over the line. That was close. It was Paciencia who threw himself at it, stretched out a right leg, and was probably only 2 or 3 inches away from getting the touch that would have made it 2-1.
Best moment of the second half by a long way for Frankfurt. Da Costa, hardly seen him after about the 15-minute mark. And he was onside. I think the referee's assistant has flagged for offside, but Paciencia on the far side, just a fraction away from turning it home.
Now Jovic turning in the midfield, juggling with the ball on his head for a minute and getting away from N'Golo Kanté. 9 to go. Eintracht showing signs that they might try and go up through the gears and go for it in the last 10 minutes or so after a very sterile second half performance from them so far. But a free kick has been given away, which will be taken by Chelsea in the right back position. Eintracht Frankfurt 1, Chelsea 1. Don't forget, TalkSport 2 supports the work of Prostate Cancer UK. Visit prostatecanceruk.org/football to find out how you can help, and together we can stop prostate cancer killing a man every 45 minutes. Chelsea are going to make a change. A straight swap in midfield. Kovacic for Loftus-Cheek.
Well, completely speechless, really. He's been the best player, hasn't he? He's looked like, still had loads of energy, struggles with injuries, Loftus-Cheek. That's maybe he's carrying something coming into the game, but he's been the difference, I think, between the sides. When they've tired, he's really come into his own with his driving run, so yeah, surprised.
Kovacic on for the last 7.5 minutes to do what he does. Doesn't supply a goal threat, but will be a body behind the ball. I certainly feel that, despite the fact that Eintracht have had a good 10-minute spell, or a good 5-minute spell, that Chelsea still should be attacking this. It's there for the taking. N'Golo Kanté was making his way forward, and eventually the referee and the assistant between them stopped play, and it didn't look as though it was going to continue. Hasebe's just been called over by the referee, who reminds the Japanese international that he is in charge. Kanté had made his way through. The boot was raised as well by Hasebe. Eventually everything has been calmed down. It will be a free kick to Eintracht Frankfurt. 7 minutes to go. They'll take it in their left back position and work it short. Back to the goalkeeper, Trapp. Trapp just flighting it, right-footed over halfway. Da Costa goes up for it. It's brought back down by Emerson. And then Roda's in there. He can guide it forward. Out towards Da Costa again. On the right flank, Paciencia has made good movement. Now Da Costa trying to turn it inside the penalty area. Jorginho gets it away, but in doing so, forced to concede a corner, which is only the second that Eintracht have had. Will they work this one directly inside the penalty area, or will they go short again?
Paciencia has made a bit of a difference, just having a bit of life at the top end of the pitch, a bit of a presence, and he's a good header of the ball, so I would suggest stick it in there. Like I said a few moments ago, opportunity to put that Chelsea back line under pressure.
Roda's going to take it. It's going to be an outswinger with the right boot. Chelsea with a line of 4 on the edge of the 6-yard box. It's a high ball inside the penalty area. What a chance for Abraham, who's headed it over the bar. And again, the zonal defensive system from Chelsea is picked apart. Nobody picked up the run. David Luiz got drawn towards the ball with Paciencia. It created space in behind for Abraham, and he really should have scored.
He has to score. He doesn't even need to be that precise. He just needs to head it on the target. I think it's in.
And now Aretha Balaga has got himself stranded on the left-hand side of the penalty area. Appeals for a penalty fall on deaf ears. They were only from an isolated Eintracht player, not from everybody. That was Aretha Balaga trying to play out from the back into the feet of Jorginho. He turned it forward towards Conte. Conte's ball back towards Jorginho, didn't find him. And Chelsea survive. Now they will try and win a free kick, and they will get a free kick. Kovacic is brought down by Roda. But a nervy couple of minutes for Chelsea inside their own penalty area.
Well, Chelsea should be in front, but they haven't been, I suppose, clinical enough at one end. But the final ball, I think, got into so many good positions, especially on this left-hand side, getting to the byline, but not able to pick out a yellow shirt in the middle. And for all the control, there's probably been not enough good chances.
Kovacic trying to turn the ball through the midfield. Roda is with him. Roda had a nibble at him, fouled him. Free kick will be given to Chelsea. Conte in a hurry to get on with it. Jorginho to Pedro. Pedro into the feet of Giroud on the edge of the area, and then Pedro looked as though he was caught. Body check at the very least, and again the referee just waves play on. He's been consistent all night. He's let everything go. Hazard's going to put it out of play because Pedro is lying stricken about 10 yards outside the Eintracht penalty area, having picked up a knock around the face. He's claiming it was an elbow. The Spanish referee is not having it at all. We'll just have a look at a replay. Pedro making his way forward. Well, he's gone to ground. There was certainly no elbow in the face. There was no contact with him at all in that area. And no free kick given.
He's caught a fraction late, isn't it? It may have been a free kick, but he's not injured. Just needs to get to his feet. Chelsea building, got the momentum, and Hazard's got to kick it out of play.
Hazard has it again. Back for David Luiz. 3 minutes to go. Still Arsenal leading by 2-1 against Valencia. They've made changes with Mkhitaryan and Monreal coming on in the recent minutes to replace Ozil and Koscielny. Torreira come on earlier in the game for Guendouzi. 2-1. That one will be poised on the proverbial, going to the Mestalla for the second leg next week, which you can hear on the TalkSport network. This one, Chelsea will feel that they're in the box seat with the away goal, but they still have opportunities to win this first leg away from home. Be a body blow for Eintracht, whose home form in Europe so good. 5 wins and a draw this season, scored 16 and conceded just the 2 before tonight. Chelsea with the free kick, taken short by Kovacic to Emerson. Back for Kovacic again. He's going round in circles and then ended up losing his footing and balance. He goes out of play for a throw which will be taken on the Eintracht Frankfurt right-hand side. 1-1 with 2 minutes plus stoppage time to go.
Seem to have just got out of that spell, haven't they, Frankfurt? They're coming under increasing pressure at the start of the second half, but that substitute, like I said, has given them a bit more life top end of the pitch, and Chelsea run out of ideas the last 5 minutes or so, unable to prise them open at the back. And Hazard so usually picks up the pace of the game so quickly. He's had very little effect.
Here's Jovic, who's been quiet in this second half, but it's a good strong run from him down the left-hand side, and he was caught. And it's a free kick, which will be taken down by the dead ball line. It was Pedro that fouled him, and it's only about a foot in from the goal line, midway between the left-hand touchline and the edge of the penalty area. And another set-piece opportunity for Eintracht to expose one of Chelsea's Achilles heels.
It's clever actually from Jovic, because he's running out of pitch there and steam, I would suggest, and he just waits for Pedro. Nice little bit of skill on the byline to buy the free kick for his side.
It's 10 yards from the corner flag by the time the ball is spotted down. Vucinovic with it, chipping it inside the penalty area. David Luiz able to easily head it away, back outside the box. Vucinovic again, under pressure from Conte. Takes it down towards the corner flag. Conte just stood his ground. Knew that he was going to try and buy the corner. Ends up winning a free kick in N'Golo Conte. Vucinovic has now got a spot of cramp. And Emerson will go across just to try and ease that off for him. And Da Costa will do likewise. It will be a free kick to Chelsea to restart play. 30 seconds of normal time to go and probably 3 or 4 minutes to be added. And Chelsea will feel that with a second half dominance should really have been able to achieve more. Notwithstanding that, Abraham has probably had the best chance of the second half, other than the Chelsea one that hit the bar with David Luiz's free kick.
Yeah, almost certainly. I thought that was a great opportunity. He won't believe that he hasn't got Frankfurt's noses in front. It was a really presentable chance, completely unopposed. 7-8 yards out, couldn't even hit the target. But yeah, Chelsea's supremacy in this second half has been really obvious with the ball. They've looked leggy, the home side. They've just not probably had enough on Trapp's goal. You'd have to say, for all the territory and all the possession, they've not been able to work him enough.
5 minutes of stoppage time to play, and we're in them now. Jorginho back for Christensen working it forward for Jorginho again. Now played out towards the right-hand touchline. N'Golo Conte's in a bit of space in the heart of the Chelsea midfield. A clever little reverse ball from him. Giroud linking it up with Kovacic. Emerson's got Hazard outside. It's played in towards Giroud. Back heel flick towards the edge of the area. Emerson's first to it. Kovacic then works it slightly behind square for Jorginho. Chip forward. Giroud stretching, tries to bring the ball down. And Hinteregger is pushed to the ground. And it's a free kick to Eintracht inside their own box. Let's go back to the Emirates. Arsenal against Valencia. Ian Abrahams.
Into the last minute, Jim. Still Arsenal 2, Valencia 1. You feel this is not going to be enough for Arsenal unless they're amazing next week in Spain. Since you were last with me, only a Cormero effort on the volley over the top. Valencia's ambitions now just to keep it at 2-1. We're into added on time in about 30 seconds.
Vucinovic is coming off for Eintracht Frankfurt. He'll be replaced by the Dutch international defender Jetro Willems, who used to be at PSV. He's been sent off a couple of times this season. He will come on, and that is a defensive-minded change, taking the number 10 off and bringing on a left-back. 90 seconds of stoppage time play. 3.5 minutes to go. 3.5 minutes will be elongated by dint of that substitution. Ball be played for. Willems actually has started in a very advanced position. He's never scored a goal in his career, but he's almost playing up top, supplementing the attack. Ball on the right hand side of the midfield now with Da Costa. Da Costa rolling it in just away from Willems and through to the goalkeeper. Sounded like there's a goal at Arsenal. Ian Abrahams.
Arsenal 3, Valencia 1, and maybe they have got enough now. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang has flicked it in at the far post after Kolasinac ball across. It all followed Lacazette missing another chance. That doesn't matter now. Arsenal 3, Valencia 1 into added on time.
Goal in the first minute of stoppage time for Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. 3-1 Arsenal lead. The difference between 2-1 and 3-1 absolutely enormous for them. 1-1 the scoreline between Eintracht and Chelsea. And I'm feeling really that both sides are settling for this, maintaining the status quo ahead of the second leg next Thursday. Kevin Trapp with the ball in his hands, whacks it upfield. High one which will be chased by Roda, but he can't guide it to a teammate. It'll be picked up by Kepa Arrizabalaga, who's bowled it out very quickly. Turn towards the edge of the area. Paciencia might be able to turn away from David Luiz, who just misjudged it slightly, but the ball ends up beating the pair of them and goes through for Arrizabalaga. 2 minutes of stoppage time to go.
They're not just sitting in either. The amount of dark shirts forward there, unbelievable. If Pedro was able to take that in and start Chelsea building, it would have been in trouble. And he's been really bold, hasn't he, throughout the second half. No defensive substitutions at all when it's been clear that they've been running out of steam. And looking at it on the face of it, the players look like they'd snap your hand off for the 1-1 10 minutes into the second half. The manager not reading from the same hymn sheet.
There's a manager with a lot of experience. He's won the league in both Austria and Switzerland. An excellent first season with Eintracht after a poor start where, as cup holders, they were knocked out by lower division opposition. They had a torrid start to the league campaign, and yet they could end up with place in the European final and a place in the Champions League courtesy of their league position. Chelsea will certainly have something to say about the former. Willems with a layoff. Roda just away from Kostic. Another player who's faded dramatically in the second half. Kostic, professed energy in the first 45 minutes, but he's given it away here, and the counter-attack could be on in the 5th minute of stoppage time. It's played forward towards the edge of the penalty area, but Hinteregger is there first ahead of Hazard, and then Conte can't keep it in, and it's going to be a throw which will be taken by Eintracht on their left-hand side. 1-1.
He's been great actually, Hinteregger. He stuck to his task. It's been a really good old-fashioned battle between him and Giroud, but he had to be bright there, switched on, and just take a slightly deeper position maybe than usual because Hazard was the runner, but he did it really well just to make the intervention.
Fallette forward towards Hasebe, and then out towards the left-hand touchline again for Eintracht to boom one long ball forward. Jorginho to Conte in the midfield. Back he comes again with Chelsea with Giroud putting the ball into the feet of Pedro, whose goal on his 500th appearance for the club is the most important contribution of the night, seemingly the away goal that will make Chelsea overwhelming favourites to progress. N'Golo Conte has it again. Hasebe forces it away, and the referee's checked his watch. 5.5 minutes played. This will be the last attack. Giroud out towards Azpilicueta. Full ball back from him. Now to play for a goal kick. There won't be time to take it, and Chelsea will feel that they've done enough tonight. They're in a good position in the second half. Because of their territorial advantage, they might have been able to work an even better position ahead of the second leg next week. But as it is, Pedro's equaliser late in the first 45 from Luka Jovic's opener has given Chelsea the away goal. They will be overwhelming favourites for the second leg. It could have been better had David Luiz's free kick not hit the crossbar, but there were chances late on with Abraham missing a header, which could have given Eintracht an unlikely victory. Chelsea will fancy their chances though of completing the job at Stamford Bridge. Baku beckons. Eintracht Frankfurt 1, Chelsea 1.